Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and to our coffee times together. Today I am here to finally talk to you about The Invisible Man.
It's coffee time.
So sadly, this movie was going to hit theaters here when the virus happened, and so it was not brought to Germany anymore, and the only option that I had was to wait until it was available on Prime. So I finally was able to watch this movie, and I can already tell you that this is probably going to be on my top 10 movies of 2020. So actually, in preparation for this movie review, I rewatched The Invisible Man from 1933, which is based on the novel by the same title, and it is more kind of like a sci-fi than a horror, and it was released by Universal, and The Invisible Man belongs to the Universal Monsters. So I just wanted to rewatch the original from 1933, even though I knew that this one, based on the trailer, didn't have so much to do with it, but I did rewatch it and I ended up really still loving it. So basically, in the original film, we have the scientist that checks into this inn, and he is wearing a coat and a hat and sunglasses, and his face is covered with bandages, and he checks into this inn, and we figure out that he's a scientist that has made himself invisible and is trying to figure it out, how it happened, how to reverse it. And I really enjoyed the film. I think it's kind of still hold up pretty well. Of course, there's some parts of the special effects that you realize that they're faking it because, you know, it's 1933, okay? But I think this is still a pretty good movie. So I believe it was around 2016 where they started talking about rebooting the Universal Monsters, and there were names like Johnny Depp attached to the project and everything. But then in 2017, The Mummy came out, and it was horrible. I mean, what can you expect from Tom Cruise, honestly? Like, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this in my channel, but I just can't with him. I can't. It's one of those actors that I just can't deal with for some reason. And so the whole kind of project fell apart until in 2019 we heard of The Invisible Man coming, and I kind of had hopes because of the director as well of the film, because I have you know, enjoyed other projects of his like Insidious, and he was also in Saw. He was also involved in Upgrade, so I thought, you know, this movie now had a chance. Before I go deeper into the plot and into the things that I liked about the film, please know there are trigger warnings in this movie for mental illness, physical abuse, and violence, just in case that you're sensitive to those topics. Just, you know, be aware that is things that are being portrayed in this film. So the director is Lee Whannell, and this is a science fiction film, but it's more kind of like a drama slash thriller with some horror aspects to it. And it is based on our main character, and she has been suffering abuse by her boyfriend, and so she decides to leave him and takes off one night. So after she manages to escape this abusive relationship, she gets a letter to tell her that her boyfriend, well, ex-boyfriend, has committed suicide, and he actually has left her a lot of money. However, she is convinced that he has staged his own suicide and has turned himself invisible and is hunting her. Elizabeth Moss, that plays the main character in the film, literally carries every scene. She is so good. Every scene she's in, she steals the thunder. She is an amazing actress with so much range that you can see being explored in this film. Definitely a huge fan of hers. I think I've seen her in other things before, but I never really like paid so much attention. And I know that she's also in a movie that it also came out not long ago that I want to watch called Shirley. So I cannot wait to see more from her. So let's talk about things that I really enjoyed about the movie. So the movie has excellent work when it comes to camera and sound. The camera movements were so well executed. They were very interesting angles. They were very, the camera movement was slow, and sometimes it was following like different characters, and then it was following what looked like an empty space, but you would assume that's where the invisible man was. So it was very unsettling. It was setting up all the mood, and there were not too many like rough cuts or anything like that. Everything felt so organic. And when it comes to the sound, the film has a lot of scenes that are completely silent, which it's kind of putting the viewer in a very uncomfortable situation, and you're just like waiting for something to happen, and it builds up so much tension. It is insane, and the film does such a good work with building up the tension. Like I mentioned before, we do deal with mental health representation in this film, but I think it was done very well and respectfully. And we have here a main character that has suffered a lot of trauma. She has been abused by this ex-boyfriend, and she has managed to escape. And there are, you know, these typical things that somebody that is experiencing a trauma goes through. You see her day after day wearing the same sweater. You see her afraid of going out because she thinks he's coming for her. When you've had somebody abusing you in any kind of level, you're always scared that they're gonna come for you. And you know, it is a character that is very relatable in the sense that even if you have not been in an abusive relationship, we've all had people kind of trying to you know, make us feel less than we are, trying to push us down and keep us on the floor. We've all had these, you know, negative people that have affected us and have made us feel that we are less than what we are. So I think like in another way, we all have been kind of abused or oppressed in one way or another. So it is a character that is super relatable, and you are definitely, you know, rooting for her. The film does have a couple of moments where you get a jump scare, but they didn't really bother me at all. I thought they were, you know, really well integrated in the film. And like I mentioned before, like with the camera, scenes without sound, they managed to bring up so much tension. Like they just build it up slowly, and it makes you feel uncomfortable. It makes you like be kind of very aware of the situation. They really pull you into the movie, and they keep you waiting for something to happen. And it is such a great thing to do. Like I think movies sometimes think that you need a lot of jump scare, really loud sounds to have an effect, but it is the little things that can really build up a scene to be like really creepy. There are of course winks to the 1933 film. For example, there is a scene where, you know, you are questioning if the invisible man is sitting on a chair, that it's kind of similar to a scene that we get to see in the 1933 film. And there is also a little poster of the 1933 film, so I really appreciated that they put those little kind of Easter egg things for people that were already aware of the character and the original movies. The movie is a very slow burn psychological thriller in the end, and I thought it was so well executed. I absolutely love that they took, you know, the original story and they kind of modernized it. They brought new technology into the film, and these kind of new remake slash retake that they did worked so well. I loved and appreciated that they didn't just try to copy too much from the original. They just went for something completely different, and it ended up being such an amazing movie full of twists and turns. When you think you have things figured out, then you realize you don't. And it was a movie that, even though it was slow, it was never boring. It never had a dull moment. And I also really appreciated that. I just love how they took like this character from the Universal world and they made such a modern take on the story, and still managed to keep, you know, that creepiness, that unsettling feeling of having somebody in the room that it's invisible so you cannot see him. So I don't know, this is probably going to be one of my faves of this year, like I said, just because the work that they did was amazing, the acting was amazing, and the whole editing, camera work, sound, everything was for me super great. I ended up giving this film 4.5 out of 5 because there were a couple of things that were kind of slightly plot holes or things that were not properly explained that I would have wished that they would have. But all in all, this was such a solid, such a good movie. So this is a film that I definitely recommend you guys to watch if you have not been able to watch it yet. Maybe there's any kind of VOD platform that you have access to that carries the film right now. So I definitely recommend you to give this one a watch. Alright guys, so these were my thoughts on the new adaptation of The Invisible Man. Let me know down below what you thought about the film. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? And why? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. Please remember to give the video a big thumbs up for support. And if you want to follow me on the social media, as always, you guys, the links are in the description box down below. I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!